I'm a 22-year-old guy from Sweden, pretty normal guy, down to earth, I would say. So I ran my own agency. I started in 2023, early 2023, and it went all right. I had 7 or 8 clients, but I quickly realized that the marketing part wasn't really for me.
He wasn't before like a people's person. He didn't really want to talk too much.
One thing that I realized as well was that the sales in UK and US was a lot, like so much far ahead of the sales that we were doing in Sweden.
How can you expect to get better if you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations? You should be very careful with the words that you put out, because that'll create images in your brain, that'll create thoughts create emotions, and emotions dictate the way you see life. Who is he, and what does he do? Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video of one of our clients over at Affinity Sales Training. I'm excited for this one because Hugo has been with us for I think it's been 6 months now.
Yeah.
He's been with us for a while. He's really involved himself within the community. He's grown from a literal boy to a man, and a lot has happened in between. And so I'm excited with this one today. Hugo, if you want to introduce yourself, kind of explain who Hugo is. If you'd met Hugo on the side of the road, who is he, and what does he do?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for getting me on here. So who is Hugo? So I'm a 22-year-old guy from Sweden, pretty normal guy, down to earth, I would say. I've always been interested in, trying to make money online. I've started out trying to invest in stocks. I've been trying all of these business models, and that eventually put me on SMMA. So I ran my own agency. I started in 2023, early 2023, and it went all right. I had 7 or 8 clients, but I quickly realized that the marketing part wasn't really for me. So I enjoyed the sales a lot more. I enjoyed speaking to people, which is almost kind of a surprise, because I feel like I'm a little bit more introverted. Because if you would have asked me 2-3 years ago that I would be making my money by speaking to people, I wouldn't have believed you. Because I would say I'm a little bit more introverted person. But yeah, now I'm here. I've been doing sales now for a couple of months. I would say maybe 8-9 months now, and I cannot look back.
Love it. Also, guys, side note, from my last YouTube videos, obviously I had the goatee. I've just got back from the States, and I noticed every single person was wearing a beard. So I was like, you know what? Let me grow it out. Let me talk to it. And I literally only got back into the office an hour ago, but I said, hey, I need to do this interview with Hugo because it's been such an interesting story from my perspective, from you coming in 6 months ago. As Hugo said, he's not really he wasn't before a people's person. He didn't really want to talk too much. Matter of fact, I think you joined because you wanted to get better at English. Never mind getting better at sales and making more money. Can you walk me through the process of saying, hey, I want to join another community, or I just want help?
Yeah, exactly like you say. I was already in a program in Sweden where I would be able to do all my mock calls in Swedish. The mentors were Swedish, which obviously helped me out. But at the time, I was on an US offer, so I actually joined AST just to improve my English. But I stayed because of the quality in the sales training. My first coaching call, I thought it was going to be a normal Q&A, but I just got thrown into a mock call, like a scrimmage, so in front of people. So that really put me out of my comfort zone, and I realized this is the place where I'm going to grow so much. And I'm extremely happy that I stayed.
What a better way to, or I suppose, what better way is there to get better at English than be thrown into a random room with 4 other people and told, hey, let's do a random scenario.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a surprise.
That first scrimmage, because people who are watching this might not know what a scrimmage is, first off. So can you explain that?
Yeah, exactly. So a scrimmage is like a live mock call, like a live role play, where we were 5 guys, and then one of the mentors as well, and we got one of these challenges, like almost handling an objection or just going through the discovery phase. And I was just so thrown off. I've never seen it before, but it's great because that really gets you out of the comfort zone, and that's how you develop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's how you grow overall, right? How can you expect to get better if you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations? And for yourself, you go English is not your first language, like getting thrown into that environment, like what better way is there to get better at sales? Did you see the effort that you put in with getting better at English translate across to getting better at sales?
Yeah, for sure. I really did, because one thing that I realized as well was that the sales in UK and US was a lot, like so much far ahead of the sales that we were doing in Sweden, because obviously there's so much more competition in the UK and the US. So I feel like I developed so much more than I would have if I just stay in Sweden, right? So yeah, I'm so glad I joined.
Okay. Sounds like you're very grateful. Sounds like you're very grateful. And I know from Hugo Hoppen, we have this one thing in AST called like predictive programming. It's the way I kind of think on life. It goes back to one of my favorite books. I don't know if you've read it, Hugo, but I think you should. It's called 3 Simple Steps by Trevor Blake. And we take a lot from that in the sense of you should be very careful with the words that you put out, because that'll create images in your brain, that'll create thoughts, thoughts create emotions, and emotions dictate the way you see life, right? Everybody has two different perspectives. Hugo, you could feel terrible, I could feel great, and we both walk out of the same room and we'll see life in a different light, right? And with you, with doing predictive programming, predicting your future, like you did that, I know you did it for like 66 days. Like, why did you even start that in the first place?
Because you challenged me to do it. No, but I saw the thinking behind it, but I don't realize how much of a difference it would actually make. Because at first I thought, just writing your thoughts, writing why you're grateful, cannot make that big of a difference. But that actually made me realize, okay, what is the kind of person that I want to be? What is he doing on a daily basis? So what is he thinking? What is he grateful for? And that just put me in a different state of mind. So much higher energy, much more grateful for a lot of things, but also being intentional with my actions in my day-to-day life. So yeah, predictive programming was definitely one of the main reasons why I developed a lot over the past couple of months.
Okay. And like for somebody not in AST, somebody who perhaps wants to kind of go through the same path, like what would you recommend them do on a daily basis? Like you touched on thinking of what would that person do on a daily basis, what would they be grateful for? But like if you were to give them a challenge, what would you challenge them to do?
The first thing I would say is each morning, what I did in August was each morning I wrote down, okay, what is 10K Hugo actually doing? So that was my goal, reaching 10K. And I asked him, what is he doing on a daily basis? And not only on the sales calls, but outside of them as well, because I feel like the kind of person that you are on sales calls is the same that you are outside of them. So I would constantly ask myself, what is he thinking? What is he doing? All of the kind of actions that he's taking. And it comes to sales, okay, so is he on the coaching calls just being there, or is he asking questions? Is he being active in the group? Is he doing mock calls? Is he analyzing his calls? But also, is he speaking to people on the street, in the grocery store? All of those kind of things. And I wrote it down each morning, and then I started doing it. And now I became that kind of person that deserves the goals that I want to achieve.
Okay. Yeah, I like it, because I feel like people put like numbers and everything on like a pedestal nearly, and they put it like so far away and so unattainable, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. Like even when you're thinking badly, you're like, oh, I can never get out of this rut because I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. Boy, if you say that out loud, you're kind of telling yourself you can't even get out of that in the first place. It's kind of the same when it comes to success. It's like, hey, what does that person do that makes them successful? And if I don't do that, I mean, I already know the cause of my downfall. So like for you, how did that turn into fruition for you in August? Like obviously the main goal is 10K, like what you got a role, and like how did that go?
Yeah, exactly. So I already had a role. I've been on it for 4 or 5 months. I've been very close to hitting that 10K, but I had a few months where I was getting a little bit worse results. But then, like I said, I just started living it. And I think that the main thing was I did all of these small actions that was proof to myself that I am that kind of guy. And then I started believing it more. Okay, so I am talking to people around me. I am challenging myself. I am challenging other people. And I started really believing I am that kind of guy. And then I think that energy just reflected on the sales calls, and I just smashed my goal.
Fuck yeah. Okay, when you say you smash your goals, what does that look like? If you feel comfortable telling it.
Yeah, no worries. So my goal was 10K on a month. It's been my goal since I started my agency 20 months ago, and I'm set to make at least 17 for August. With bonuses and no refunds, I can probably touch 20K. So yeah, I can say I smashed it.
Damn, you doubled your target that you had for 20 months. Safe to say you're becoming that person. You've already become. You've
Yeah.
already. Fair play to you. Hats off to yourself in that regards. What would you say to somebody else who does idolize 10, 20K a month now that you're there?
Sorry, who?
I was just saying, like, what would you say to somebody who is probably thinking the same? Like, you were doing that for 20 months, you were like thinking 10K, 10K, and then all of a sudden you think in a different way and you make 20 or you make at least 17. Like,
exactly. So like I said, it's always start living like him, like the kind of person that deserves it, because I feel like like you said, we put that number on a pedestal, 10K. It is the golden number, but it is actually very easy to do it if you just act like the kind of guy that does it. So put in the work, put in the hours. You cannot you have to do that, obviously, but that will make you believe that you deserve it. And it all starts from inside. So yeah.
There's also a fine pendulum that swings with that, right? It's like you're going to have super, super highs at some point and you're going to have super, super lows. But like notice, and I'm just noticing from this call, like notice how Hugo's like super relaxed when we talk about this conversation. It's just going to happen. And matter of fact, it seems to me like he's not surprised that he got there because he started acting like that person. So like, if you think about it, like when rich people hit 10, 15, 20, 100K a month, are they surprised? I mean, to me, if they were surprised, they probably wouldn't hit it the next month because you just need to get that normalized with you. Because if you're not hitting that, you're like, shit, well, I need to be stressing. Like, why am I not at my minimum? Like the minimum bar I've set for myself and the minimum standard. Like the minimum standard for somebody else, they might think it's 10K, but they're kind of okay with making 4 or 5. And if they hit 4 or 5, they'll be okay. They're not going to be stressed. Boy, what they're actually telling themselves is I'm okay with making 5K a month. I don't care if I get to 10. There's no urgency. No urgency for them to get to 10, 15, 20 further on from that. So I find that as like an interesting phenomenon. But like for yourself, I think people listening to this will be super interested in understanding your thought process going forward, because you've transitioned from an SDR to even still booking some of your own calls now to closing to 17K. Like, what does future Hugo look like to you? Like, what do you think is down the line?
Yeah, so I have actually been thinking about this quite a lot, because my next goal after 10K was 15K, and I've already hit that as well. So I'm still looking to see myself keep doing this for a few months, just building up the cash flow and getting more experience, because I can tell by the environment I am in AST that I still have a lot to learn. So I still I'm so far from finished. So I'm probably for 6 months or maybe even a year, I'll keep doing what I'm doing right now. But then in the future, I see myself going into somewhat of a coaching role. I love helping people. I love just seeing people grow. So either within my company that I'm working on, or maybe starting somewhat of a community. I want to help people out in the future for sure.
Okay, so the goal is to help as many people as possible. Is that like in Sweden or just like in general?
Yeah, in general, I wouldn't say help as many people as possible, but well, I guess that's kind of the goal. But I would love to just work very close to guys and just or girls to just see them grow. Just work one-on-one and help them a lot and achieve their goals. That's what I do, and I've always started doing it with some of my friends that I see have these big ambitions. So I definitely see myself going into somewhat of a managing role or a coaching role in the future.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's quite typical, right? I feel like most salespeople have that ideation of become a setter, either start triaging or start closing some deals yourself, transition into closing, do that for a couple months, have a great month, fall off, have a fantastic month. And then they kind of ask themselves, what's next? And I would challenge you on this, because I feel like managing and closing are two separate skills. Because closing is your closing prospects. You're paid for the last 5 minutes of every call. Whereas managing, I feel like, is you're managing people's emotions on your team towards a specific goal. So over the course of my career, things have switched more towards managing. I do close deals as well. It's no problem doing that at all. However, for myself to get into a further position, you have to leverage, and you can leverage based on having other people work for you, closers, setters. That's why when a closer understands, hey, I could make a small percent from other people closing and I don't have to take all those calls, it's very, very appealing. But I would also give you the perspective of sometimes that doesn't make sense, or sometimes that might not be your skill set. And it might not be your skill set right now, but it could be. So if that's what you're aiming towards, Hugo, I would say the Manager's Handbook is a great book to read. The Challenger Sale is always good to read, to understand the basis of being in rough markets. And it's kind of what you said, thinking in future tense. If that's what you want to do and you want to run your own company and run a sales team, that'll be my recommendation. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I feel like in sales, though, that you have to coach people. You have to change their mindset. Of course, when you manage a whole team, it's kind of different. But in sales, what I've realized is that you actually have to change people, how people think. So yeah, I do see it as a natural next step to go into some kind of coaching in the future.
Yeah, okay. I like it, because like, such a natural next step. So I like the plan forward, Hugo. Once again, I appreciate your time as always, hopping on to here. And before we pop off, if there was like one thing that you would say to somebody who's just in the same position as you 20 months ago, apart from the recommendations that you've already given, would there be like another one thing that you would say to somebody who was in a similar position to you at 19, 20?
Yeah, just join a group of like-minded people. Like, that's how you grow, because there's always people you can learn from. There's always people that keep you accountable and that push you. So that's the first thing. If I would start over again, I would join a great group of guys. Yeah, so that's my biggest recommendation.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of similar to mine. Like, I'm not going to shamelessly just plug Affinity with this, but ultimately, when I started, I also paid a couple thousand to join other groups as well. And like, I feel like I personally wouldn't have been in the position to run my own teams, to run my own community, to run my own businesses if I didn't take that leap at the beginning, because there's no one else in this world that's going to hold you accountable apart from yourself. And when you put the money on the table, it's like, shit, I got to make this back. Like, I'm balls to the wall. I need to make this money back, or else, I mean, what happens? So you're kind of placing the bet in yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to believe in you as much as you. And that's just the harsh truth of reality. So Hugo, once again, appreciate you hopping on. Guys, I'm going to put all of his socials into the description as well. Where can people find you best? Is it Twitter or Instagram?
Yeah, I guess Twitter is where I post most about what I'm doing on a daily basis, sales. I'm trying to grow my Instagram a little bit, but it won't be that much.
What's the handle?
So it's like H Holmgrens with 2 S at the end.
I'll get my editor to place that on it.
Yeah, and IG is Hugo Holmgren. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Sounds good to me. And Hugo, appreciate you hopping on, guys. If you want to follow Hugo's journey, I know he's posting about it daily, which is awesome. I would follow it, because ultimately I think that's the content that's going to do really well in 2024 and 2025 and beyond. People just being super genuine and not being disingenuous. And so follow Hugo. If you also want to join a group of like-minded individuals, you can look at our website with Affinity in the description as well. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.